Hello and welcome back to my channel, Roses. My name is Avarice Rose and it's so good to be back with you guys. I mean, it's been a while since I've been in front of the camera talking to you all, and I am so excited for what kind of a journey we're about to embark on anew on this channel. If you are new here or you have been patiently waiting for me to get my butt back into the content creating chair, hit that like button, hit the notification bell, and definitely subscribe because you won't want to miss this series. If you like historical stuff, if you like paranormal stuff, this is definitely for you. So since we're all stuck inside during this month of April and we're all in quarantine and some of us have lost our jobs, some of us aren't working as much, working from home, just need an escape, need something to take our mind off of the realities of the world. And this is what I've come up with. I've kind of looked at my channel, looked at the kind of content that I really do want to create, and I've come up with this. And I'm really, really excited about it. I've put together two of my most favorite things in the world, which is historical research and the paranormal, spooky things that go bump in the night. I think it's a win. We will talk on this channel about voiceover, video games, gaming, anime, things of that nature, once everything gets back to normal. So until life as we know it returns to normal, I felt that, why not go down a different path, a path that I've wanted to go down for many years now, and feel that this is the right time to do it because I can spend the time researching, spend the time digging for photos, spend the time digging for stories and firsthand accounts, and just spend time creating content that I enjoy, that hopefully you all will enjoy as well. So without further ado, I hope you will get a snack, grab a hot beverage or tea, and enjoy this new series, Haunted Castles of England. In today's video, we're going to be looking at 3 castles of England. The first being Lumley Castle. Lumley Castle Hotel is a Grade 1 listed 14th century building in the north of England near the city of Durham. And as the name suggests, it's now a hotel. The castle got its name from Ralph Lumley, who converted his family's manor house to a castle in 1389 after returning from wars in Scotland. What ones they were, I don't know. There was a lot of wars between England and Scotland at that time. Like, a huge amount of them happened. But after being implicated in a plot to overthrow King Henry IV, he was imprisoned and executed, which forfeited his lands back to the Earl of Somerset. However, ownership of the castle was granted back to Sir Ralph Lumley's grandson Thomas in 1421. So it was able to go back to the family that originally held the castle. One very notable figure who did stop to visit the castle was James VI of Scotland, and he was on his way to actually be crowned James I of England, and he popped by Lumley Castle and said hello. Even though James didn't spend the night, there is a suite called the King James Suite to commemorate the future King of England and the basically melding together of the English and Scottish thrones together in the hotel. And in 1972, Lumley was transformed into the hotel that it still stands as today. And that is when the ghost stories start to get a little bit juicy. So there are a few ghosts that haunt this castle, the oldest one being that of Lily Lumley, who was the 14th century lady of the manor. According to accounts, Lily was murdered by 2 Catholic priests when she refused to convert to the Catholic faith. And to hide her body, they threw her down a well on the property. Hello. Once they converted Lumley to a hotel, perhaps because of the construction work, she became very active and very vengeful. She's been witnessed wandering around the corridors of the castle. It's rumored that she gives out a scream as she flies towards the person who is, about to have this encounter, and then vanishes before she hits the person. So she just kind of whooshes up and just disappears, which is frankly terrifying. In fact, the castle made headlines in 2005 when the Australian cricket team actually fled the castle in their underwear in the middle of the night. Why? They claimed a ghost chased them from the hotel and not one of them returned after this encounter with whom people believe was Lily herself. So a bunch of big burly men running outside in their underwear, terrified because of a ghost. And if all of them say that it happened, that's really hard to combat that all of the members of the cricket team decided, hey, we're going to pretend that we are scared out of our minds and go running around outside in the middle of the night in our underwear. I don't think so. The second active spirit in the hotel that shows itself has been dubbed Blackjack. Now, no one knows who Blackjack is or was during his or her life, but unlike Lady Lily, this spirit seems to play kind of innocent games with the guests of the hotel. Blackjack is known to steal guests' belongings and move them or hide them in strange places, but he also pushes water glasses off the table and seems to like slamming doors in the middle of the night to give people a jump. Now, these are just two of the accounts from Lumley Castle Hotel. And if you want to visit Lumley Castle, they offer 72 rooms uniquely decorated that brings the ancient world to the present. And the Black Knight restaurant is actually said to be a hit for traveling foodies that go around the area. And they even have a Lady Lily themed escape room that you and your friends can be locked inside of and attempt to escape from for £15 each. And who knows, maybe Lady Lily will help you escape herself. Or scare you trying. Dover Castle is in Dover, England, which is in southeast England, and was built in the 12th century by King Henry II, and it is the second oldest defense post in Britain. Dover is situated on the White Cliffs of Dover, and actually those White Cliffs are holding a pretty intense secret. Those cliffs hide a multitude of tunnels that are carved into the side of them, and they played a key military role in the 19th and 20th centuries, really being World War I and World War II and the Napoleonic Wars. Because it sits at the shortest crossing between France and England, there's only 22 miles between. It served from the Iron Age as a vital strategic center to currently, and is essentially seen as the gateway to England. So let's talk more about these tunnels. They were built back in the Middle Ages, but played an important part in, like I said, the Napoleonic War invasion in the 19th century, or 1798, then again during the Second World War, 1939 to 1945. 7 tunnels were built that could hold 2,000 British troops. That's insane. And it was the only underground barracks ever built in Britain. This castle was the nerve center during Operation Dynamo when 338,000 Allied soldiers were evacuated from Dunkirk in 1940. And there's now a movie called Dunkirk about the evacuation of Allied soldiers in France. In the early 1960s, the tunnels were pretty much unused or empty, but they were equipped and modernized, this time to serve as a regional head of government. The whole complex remained on a secret list until it was abandoned in 1984. And a lot of people thought that this was due to the Cold War. A lot of people thought, and this is just speculation, that this is where they would take maybe not necessarily the royal family, but the heads of state, parliament, the prime minister, heads of defense, secretaries, that sort of thing, in case the Cold War kind of went crazy. So because of that history that spans hundreds, thousands of years, there are many accounts of ghost sightings at Dover Castle. There are many ghosts that can be found here, but there is a high number of apparitions, which are ghosts that actually make themselves, or spirits that make their presence known by actually becoming mist or becoming, corporeal for a little bit, that are seen here. Visitors and staff have seen a headless drummer boy. Think about that. Walking along, minding your own business, and you see a headless drummer boy. That would freak anybody out. A lady in a red cloak walking through the keep, and the lower half of a man in the king's bedchamber. Just the lower half. So that could mean one of two things. One, just showing you his bottom half. Or two, perhaps it was on a different plane or something, or there was a different rise or a different floor level, who knows, but it's just the bottom half of this guy. So the English Heritage also runs evening tours with an actual psychic investigator to delve deeper into the paranormal activity of the castle. So the ghost walks are held weekly during October and November for an additional charge when you visit the castle, and then you get to be taken around, shown the hot spots, and the psychic investigator, leads you on a tour. Or maybe not the psychic investigator, but a staff member leads you around on this tour. The castle is so notorious that the show Most Haunted have visited to do an investigation. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, I want to say perhaps, don't quote me on this, TAPS International has actually gone to Dover Castle. Ghost Hunters, TAPS, their international team went, and I don't know if Ghost Hunters has ever gone there, but they might have done something. I know when they were over doing like Hellfire Club and some Chillingham Castle and stuff like that, they might have actually gone to Dover. I just don't remember. I've seen a lot of these shows and I don't remember all of the sites, but I know that Dover is an active hotspot for paranormal investigators to go, so maybe they actually ended up going. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, Most Haunted, which is I believe a British television show, actually went there, and I actually watched the episode on YouTube, so it was pretty cool. Many other independent investigators have caught everything from EVPs, apparitions, and things moving around inside that you can find on YouTube. So a lot of people who go into Dover Castle on independent investigations do sometimes tend to post their material up on their own kind of show series, that sort of thing on YouTube. So if you type in Dover Castle haunting or Dover Castle ghost hunt, you'll probably find what you were looking for. So Ludlow Castle is first referred to by chronicles in 1138, but its date of origin is not certain. They don't know when exactly the castle was initially built. Some of its structures, such as the Inner Bailey and the Gatehouse Keep, point it to being from the late 11th century. The site of Ludlow was in a corner of an important manor of Stanton, and that manor was held from 1066 by the de Lacy family. The level building surface and the steep slopes to the north and west made this castle or structure a perfectly defensive castle. It was strategically placed to see people kind of from all sides to really defend well against invaders. And most of the castle was built, now this will come into play later on when we get into the activity of the castle, was built of chunky Silurian limestone quarried from its own site. And limestone has been said to be known to be a conductor of energy, that spirits, ghosts, apparitions, demons, elementals, things like that, like limestone. Or why? Maybe we'll do an entire video on why spooky things like limestone, but it's built on limestone. It's like basically a conductor for ghosts. Ludlow was one of the original Norman castles along what's called the Marches, which is on the border of Wales and England. So this castle was put right on the border to kind of keep back the Welsh, because the Welsh and the English don't have such a great history. The castle has an absolute rich history of war, changing hands, and important in the monarchy for both England and Wales. When Edward IV's son, the Duke of York, became king in 1461, Ludlow Castle became, and it remained a royal castle for the next 350 years, except during the Civil War and during the Commonwealth. This is also the castle where royal children were sent to during like plagues, to avoid the plagues in London. And it was actually the castle where Prince Arthur, the heir to the throne of Britain, the son of Henry VII and future King Henry VIII's older brother, was with his young Spanish wife, Catherine of Aragon, when he actually passed away. So it has a pretty heavy history. After 1669, the castle was quickly abandoned as part of a policy of the new government of King William and Queen Mary. They did this to centralize control to the whole of England and Wales to London. So they kind of moved away some of the administrative, governmental, ruling stuff that was happening in Ludlow to London. The people of the town actually looted the castle for principal materials, and rooms were soon roofless. In the 1960s, the government considered demolishing it, but in the view of the cost that it would involve to actually take it down, they leased it in 1771 to the Earl of Powys. And since 1811, it's been in the care of the successive Earls of Powys, and their agents have arrested further decline. So they have stopped the further decline of Ludlow Castle. They've kept it up. And in recent years, grants from the English Heritage have enabled important repair work to happen. And as of today, it's open for visitors, and over 50,000 people actually visit the castle each year because it is such a huge monumental structure that really showcases the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the grandeur of Britain. But of course, with this extensive and very tragic history, there are ghost sightings galore in Ludlow. One of the ghosts of Ludlow Castle is one Marion La Bruyere, who loved an enemy of the castle lords. We love a good tragic romance. The story goes, late one evening, Marion agreed to meet her knight. And to do this, she had to lower a rope from the high tower for him to climb up to meet her. However, love was not all that was on his mind. On a particular occasion, her lover left the rope dangling to allow an enemy of the castle's owner to send in a small army. Within a short time, the castle was invaded by 100 men, and Ludlow was in the hands of his enemies. Realizing that she had been betrayed, Marion snatched her lover's sword and cut his throat. Then, in grief and shame, she supposedly threw herself from the tower to the rocks below, and it's said if you ever visit the tower at dusk on quiet evenings, her ghost can be seen. If, however, you go on the anniversary of her suicide at the correct time, you could also possibly hear her screams, which sounds lovely. Another Ludlow ghost appears in Market Street, one of the older parts of Ludlow. And he also supposedly haunts the Globe Inn, where a grisly murder occurred long ago. The phantom is alleged to be that of a medieval soldier named Edward Dobson, who was based at Ludlow Castle and in the service of Richard, Duke of York. He's reputed to have died during a pub brawl in 1553, and his ghost is one with a cloak around his shoulders, and is said to hover around the spot of his demise. That's one way to go. Going out with your mates, just having a good time, somebody pushes your wrong buttons, and then you're a ghost. Hanging out in a pub for all eternity. The Hanging Tower of Ludlow Castle is said to contain the sounds of what appears to be heavy breathing, which is really creepy if you think about it. It's believed that the noises come from the ghost of a soldier who attempted unsuccessfully to gain access to the castle during the 16th century. Whoever realized or found that backstory. And in Ludlow Churchyard, which is creepy, being a churchyard, a cemetery, a graveyard type deal of itself, is the phantom of an elderly lady with gray hair who shuffles along the tombstones dressed in a long drab-colored robe. And she's also apparently been seen near the rectory of the castle. Creepy. That's all I have for you today, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed learning about the history of some of these absolutely historical, amazing castles and their famous haunts. If you like this kind of content, please give me a like, drop a comment down below. Have you ever been to any of these places? Have you ever had an experience in these places? Let me know. I also plan on doing a haunted castles of Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Europe. So I will be doing so much research for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. So be well, stay safe, stay sane, and stay inside. One love, guys.